If you're drawn to the kind of mysteries that have been buried for centuries, you're exactly where you need to be. Now that you've found us, hit that subscribe button and stick around. We go deep into the strangest archaeological finds ever uncovered. And not just old ruins or broken tools. We're talking about discoveries that still leave experts speechless. The kind that makes you question how much we actually know about our past. Here are the 15 most mysterious archaeological finds that continue to puzzle the world like missing puzzle pieces. Let's start off with number 15, the Meister print. In 1968, William was splitting shale in Utah's Antelope Springs when he found something no one could explain on this earth. At first, when he looked at it, it looked like nothing but a shoe print, embedded deep in a slab of stone hundreds of millions of years old. The heel, ball, and even the arch were visible, clear enough to measure. It matched a modern shoe size, and right inside the imprint, squashed under the heel, was a trilobite fossil, a creature believed to have vanished long before humans or even mammals existed. Scientists responded with skepticism. Some called it spalling, natural breakage that just happened to look like a footprint. Others dismissed it as a hoax. But the stone was verified, the fossil was real, and the shape never quite stopped bothering people. It doesn't prove time travel, alternate timelines, or human history stretching further back than we think. But it does sit there, uncomfortable, unresolved. It is like a joke someone played on science before science was even born. Now, the next one will blow your mind. Number 14. Nyero rock paintings. 12,000 years ago, someone stood in front of a stone wall in what is now eastern Uganda and left behind a vision. Black lines cross in rhythmic patterns, red circles surround symbols no one's ever fully understood. These weren't casual doodles or idle decorations. There's intent in every curve. Uganda later put one of the symbols on its currency, but not even national pride has been able to unlock the full meaning. The paintings exist inside rock shelters across the Kumi region, silent but persistent. Tribes like the Karamojong are often suggested as the creators, though no one really knows. These were nomadic people, not expected to settle long enough to cover walls with layered imagery. So why here? Why so many? Why does it still matter? Generations have passed, the paint has faded, but the questions remain, untouched by time, as if the walls themselves are waiting for someone not to look but to understand. Number 13. Mona Lisa of Kadirya. Well, this is totally new to us. Beneath layers of soil in Osmaniye province, an image stared back from the ruins of a Roman villa floor. It's not painted or sculpted. It was mosaic stone arranged with patience into the shape of a woman's face. Locals gave it a name, the Mona Lisa of Kadirya, or the Arab, not because it resembled Da Vinci's portrait, but because something about the expression felt familiar, watchful, composed, unsolved. This mosaic is 1,400 years older than the painting it is compared to. No one knows who it depicts. Some think it's the owner of the villa. Others suggest it's symbolic, maybe a goddess or muse. The tiles are remarkably preserved, though the rest of the structure collapsed long ago. There's no inscription, no dedication. The only thing that remains is the face, quiet, half-smiling, permanent. Whoever lived there, whoever commissioned it, is long gone. And yet she's still there, caught in stone, staring out from the ground where strangers now stand, her name never spoken again. Number 12. The Pyramid of Hellinikon. Everyone knows Egypt for its pyramids. Few know that Greece has them too, older, stranger, and far less understood. Near the town of Archaeological, the Pyramid of Hellinikon rises in low, worn steps. It's smaller than Giza, humbler in size, but the mystery around it runs just as deep. There's no tomb inside, no mummies, no treasures. The interior is bare stone. Greek historian Pausanias mentioned structures like this but never explained their purpose. Some scientists attempted to date the stones using thermoluminescence, getting results that point back over 5,000 years, older than the pyramids of Egypt. Others challenge that, arguing for a Hellenistic origin. But the conflict itself highlights the problem. Nothing here fits neatly into the timeline. The blocks are precisely cut and locked together with incredible skill. Whoever built this knew what they were doing but left behind no clue about why. It wasn't a monument to death. It might not even be a pyramid in the traditional sense. Just stone shaped with intention, left with silence. Number 11. Kyaiktiyo Pagoda, Myanmar. On a cliff in Myanmar's Mon State, a golden boulder balances impossibly at the edge of a drop. Its base barely touches the rock below, yet it hasn't moved in over 2,500 years. Locals call it the Golden Rock. To pilgrims, it's sacred, said to be held in place by a single strand of the Buddha's hair. Scientifically, it defies explanation. The boulder leans sharply out into space with no support structure and no anchor. Earthquakes have struck the region. Time has battered the surface, but it still stands, teetering but unmoved. Every year, tens of thousands of devotees hike to the summit, some lighting candles, others pressing gold leaf onto its surface. Whether it's a miracle or physics that's misunderstood, the boulder remains unchanged. Not simply a rock, but a monument to belief. Its endurance isn't just about gravity, it's about reverence, memory, and the stories people continue to build around things they can't make sense of, but still choose to trust. Number 10. Byresits Lake Mystery Walls. Not far from Halifax, Nova Scotia, the forest opens just enough to reveal a forgotten shape of stone. The structure forms a rough pentagon, with trenches and a crumbling wall still holding its perimeter. It isn't listed in colonial records. No foundation has been dated. One study on the lichen growing across the rocks suggested the place was already abandoned by 1798. Some thought it was a sheep pen until tests found no trace of animal presence, no waste, no bones, not even disrupted soil. The walls are too deliberate to be accidental, but they belong to no known settlement, no documented community. No one lived here. No one prayed here. And in fact, no one claimed it. And that might be the most unsettling part. It wasn't a home, it wasn't a ruin, it was just built and left. Whatever reason brought someone deep into the forest to stack stones like this, it's a reason that never made it onto paper. Just stone and questions. Number 9. Sacsayhuaman Stone Fortress. At the edge of Cusco, where the city meets the mountains, lies a wall made of stone blocks so massive they almost feel exaggerated. Some weigh over 100 tons. But what truly disorients visitors isn't the size, it's the fit. These stones are pressed together so tightly that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. No mortar holds them. The joints curve and interlock, and each block is shaped to complement its neighbors. Not one piece repeats. Not one surface is flat. The Inca built this, that's agreed on. But no one can explain how. They didn't have iron tools. They didn't use wheels. And yet here it is, a fortress that's endured centuries of earthquakes without a single wall collapse. Spanish invaders tried to tear it down and failed. Time has done less damage than human hands. What remains is a structure not just of power but of precision, a craftsmanship that seems to exist outside the logic of its time. Number 8. Chitkaya Rock Niches. High on the cliffs of Bulgaria's Rhodope Mountains, rows of small, rectangular cutouts stare back at the land like ancient, forgotten eyes. Some are so far up the rock face that it's hard to believe anyone ever reached them without modern tools. They weren't for storage, they weren't for animals. The shape is too precise, too deliberate. In a nearby cluster called Chitkaya, 50 of these niches sit grouped together without a single clear explanation. Theories rotate endlessly. Ritual use, astronomical alignment, gold mining maps, but there's no physical evidence to confirm anything. No bones, no relics, just holes, carved into unforgiving stone, positioned where no one should have been able to stand. Some of the lower ones show faces, skulls maybe, or something else entirely. It's easy to fall into speculation, much harder to find the truth. What they are, no one knows. What they mean, no one's figured out. And they're not explaining themselves. What do you think about it? Well, let us know your theory in the comment box below. Number 7. Medieval church graffiti. In the quiet halls of old English churches, scratched into the stone near doorways and columns, are countless marks no one was meant to admire. These weren't decorative carvings or skilled inscriptions. They were made with nails, knives, and stones, hasty, crude, personal. Windmills, ships, human faces with wide eyes and no expression. Some are dated. Most aren't. Historians call them apotropaic, symbols meant to ward off evil or bad luck. That may explain the consistency, repeated shapes showing up in churches miles apart. But the deeper truth is murkier. Why a windmill? Why a sailing vessel on a church wall far from any coast? Were these prayers, warnings, or simple attempts at permanence by people who had none elsewhere? No documentation explains them. No clergy mentioned them, yet they're everywhere, beneath choir lofts, behind pulpits, beside altars. Made in secret or solitude, these quiet marks have outlived the people who left them. Time has taken the hands, but not the need behind them. Number 6. The Lorsch Gospels. Bound in layers of time and fragments of empires, the Lorsch Gospels defy neat classification. Parts of it were written in Switzerland, other sections assembled in Austria. The back cover was forged in the 8th century. The front was added a century later. The text inside dates from the 9th century, copied by scribes at the Abbey of St. Gall. Even the name is misleading. It's called Lorsch because it eventually ended up there, but its journey spanned borders, cultures, and rulers. The book is a patchwork yet cohesive. Gold-inked pages, illustrated margins, Latin verses written with reverence and exhaustion. The manuscript itself became an object of political and spiritual importance. But what confuses scholars most is its silence. No direct records of ownership, no consistent tradition about its passage. One day it simply appears, intact and magnificent, in a library on an island in Germany, like a relic that built itself over centuries, not through planning, but through survival. Piece by piece, it stayed whole. Number 5. Dicranurus monstrosus fossil. Well, just look at this creepy thing. A fossil less than 3 inches long has managed to baffle paleontologists for decades. It's called Dicranurus monstrosus, a spiky trilobite from 400 million years ago, unearthed only in the rocks near Al-Nif, Morocco. The creature's design is extreme. Twisted spines curling in wild arcs, sharp outgrowths in every direction. It looks engineered, almost armored, as if made not just to survive but to intimidate. For something that size, it's hard to imagine a reason for such elaborate defense. Fish had recently evolved jaws, which explains the spikes, but no other trilobite in the region evolved quite like this. The fossil is always found alone. No swarm, no ecological context, no clear predator, just a single overbuilt survivor from a vanished world. The question isn't just how it lived, it's why it was shaped like that. The armor that is ornate feels excessive, but maybe that's the point. Maybe when everything was still new in the oceans, nature was still experimenting, and here's the proof: perfectly preserved. Number 4. Ancient bikini mosaic. On the floor of a ruined Roman villa in Piazza Armerina, a scene unfolds that rewrites more than fashion history. Women, athletic and confident, are depicted mid-motion, dressed in garments shockingly familiar, two-piece outfits that look nearly identical to modern bikinis. They aren't reclining or passive, they're competing. Some hold weights, others toss discs. This mosaic dates to the 4th century, and it's not some fringe depiction. It spans a grand floor in what was once a place of luxury. For decades, this image was used as a casual curiosity, but its implications are larger. It places women in sports. It challenges assumptions about modesty in Roman culture. It complicates the tidy story that the bikini was a 20th century invention. The figures likely aren't real individuals, but their strength is emphasized, not downplayed. This wasn't decoration. It was deliberate storytelling in stone. Time buried their names, but their image endured, stronger than the villa that crumbled around them. Ladies from all eras know how to impress. Number 3. Crystal Skull of Belize. In 1927, deep in the ruins of Luba Antun, a skull made entirely of polished quartz surfaced. The man who found it, Frederick Mitchell Hedges, claimed it belonged to ancient Mayans, possibly one of 30 sacred relics lost to time. That number was never verified. Neither was his story. The skull is real, physically speaking. But whether it came from a jungle temple or a London auction house remains hotly debated. What sets it apart isn't just the material, it's the precision. No tool marks, no seams. Crafted against the grain of the crystal, which should have shattered under ancient methods. Some researchers say it's a modern forgery, a product of the 20th century polished in Germany. Others still insist it was found where Mitchell Hedges said it was. Regardless of origin, the legend grew faster than facts could catch up. To some, it represents mystical power. To others, it's just a beautiful lie. Either way, no one's quite figured out how it was made. Number 2. Ancient burial circles under a soccer field. In East Flanders, beneath the goalposts and cleats of KV Scheld's football team, lie 2 Bronze Age grave circles. They went unnoticed for decades, buried just beneath the turf. It was only during routine renovations in 2020 that archaeologists discovered the ceremonial rings of cremated remains, nearly 2,000 years old. The field had hosted daily games, wild celebrations, and crushing losses, all above a burial site layered in ritual. The remains weren't scattered but placed with intention. Each cremated bone was positioned, each layer carefully constructed. There were no grand tombs, no treasure, no hierarchies, just quiet circles honoring the dead in a community long forgotten. After documentation, the bones were placed back where they were found, and the pitch was rebuilt right on top. The team plays on. The crowd cheers above ancient ash. Nobody ever suspected the grass beneath their feet was once a sacred place. Now they know. And they still play. We humans are crazy, and this mysterious find proves it perfectly. Number 1. Dogs and Pigs board game. There's a game board in the Batman Museum, and no one knows how to play it. It was found buried in southeastern Turkey, carved from stone, with oddly shaped tokens that don't match any known system. Some pieces resemble dogs, others pigs, so that's the name now, Dogs and Pigs. But the original name, the rules, the purpose, all of it is gone. The board is over 5,000 years old, making it older than Go and older than Senet. Unlike other ancient games, no other copies have been found. It wasn't mass-produced and wasn't played widely. Maybe it was made for a single village. Maybe for a ritual. It doesn't offer answers, only design, symmetry, where. Enough to say it was used, but never how. Whatever strategy it once required, whatever tension or celebration it held for its players, all of that has dissolved into silence. The board sits on display now, unplayed, still holding a game no one can ever finish. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.